sales time might take up to a year, implementation time, it takes a while, and then actually scaling up. So that's a multi-year process, and we need to invest today for business in the future.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meet the CEOs, the show where we talk to the CEOs of the fastest growing companies in Europe. I'm your host, Daniel Wikberg. I'm the CEO and founder of Upsales, and today I'm joined by Baltsar Sahlin, who is the CEO and co-founder of Mynt. Mynt is a spend management solution founded in 2018 and has since grown to become the largest spend management provider in the Nordics. So we will talk a little bit about how to scale the business rapidly through partnerships. They recently announced a partnership with Visa and the importance of positioning. Baltsar, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, Daniel, a pleasure to be here.
All right, to kick us off, tell us a little bit about what led you to start Mynt in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, obviously that's going back many years, and I was very interested in the fintech and automation space, and I've had businesses in the past, and I understood how much admin it is for entrepreneurs, small businesses. Even if you had open banking back then, was improving the banking system a bit, accounting systems were improving, but still as a business, I realized that there are so many manual things that you're still doing that's basically taking away time from your business. So for me, it was really about, can we solve problems for businesses?
All right, so that's the background, and you recently announced a partnership with Visa. So tell us a little bit about how's the journey been to coming to where you are now today.
Exactly. So we were extremely excited about the partnership, but obviously that has been a long journey to from when we started the business, and we were. Obviously, we were extremely passionate about solving this problem for businesses, and we built the product for small businesses, and we learned a lot from that process. But we also realized that this is a huge problem, not only in the Nordics, in all of Europe and all over the world. And in order to really reach those customers with a good solution, we also understood that it's not always the best thing to go directly, customer by customer.
Right.
And also, if the customers are smaller, they typically do not prefer to have too many separate systems, that they're buying. They want to have more services included in whatever systems they're already using. So we started after a while thinking in that mindset and essentially building a platform out of what we were selling to customers, but we were building on top of our own APIs so that we could actually embed our product into other ERP systems and banks and fleet and fuel companies. And we had that mindset a long time back, and it took a while before the market was catching up and becoming interested in this. But over time, we saw that the ERP systems actually understood that this is something that is relevant for our customers as well. And we started winning some of those companies, and we won the biggest one in the Nordics, Fort Knox, and then we won many others since then. And that is really picking up now, where we see that everyone is interested in embedding this as part of an ERP offering. And I think that's what Visa noticed as well. They were interested and they wanted to pick a partner to work with. And I think we worked very closely with Visa, and we are very happy now to be the preferred partner when it comes to spend management.
Right. It's a way to close one deal and reach hundreds of thousands of potential customers overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. That means that they have the customer relationship, they're embedding the product, and it becomes easier. So as long as you are a small customer, that's much easier to just leverage everything that you have already set up in your ERP system or in your bank, and just add on the functionality that we offer.
And I know in 2024, from a recent interview, you have an ambitious goal of doubling revenue and reach profitability. So what's the strategy to get there?
it is a long journey, and I think we're right in a growth period now. I mean, we're seeing lots of traction in our own product, and we're also seeing that the sort of partnership and the platform business is starting to scale up.
Right.
But most of what we do and the growth that we're seeing now, I mean, that's basically the fruits of the work that we have put in, previous 1-2 years, and we're seeing that now. And I would say that we can sort of predict fairly well now, looking at the numbers, that we will grow during the year. But we're also, a lot of what we're working on right now, I mean, that is something that obviously will yield results, 1, 2, 3 years. But of course, we're at the same time, I mean, we're super focused on just scaling up the product and the business.
So, and I know Mynt raised almost 300 million SEK in capital, but you still have quite a high level of efficiency in the business. How do you balance efficiency in the business versus expectations from VC owners that might want you to spend more money, basically?
I mean, that's a great question, and I think it has pros and cons, and it's how much you raise, that depends on your business and what's right for you. And I think in the business that we are in, combining fintech, there's a regulatory environment and there's a lot of tech.
Right.
It's impossible to start that business without capital. I mean, you need to invest a lot before you can actually see the revenues. But at the same time, we are also very careful about spending the money on the wrong things. I mean, we want to stay very lean. We want to make sure that we see the revenues coming in. I think we had other options as well, where there were VCs that were expecting us to be sort of a global first company or do certain market entries, and we felt that was the wrong choice. So the VCs that we brought in have a very much aligned strategic view as we have. So
Okay.
we think we have really good investors, and as long as they are aligned on the same strategy, there hasn't really been any conflict in that. So I think that's extremely important when you bring in capital. And obviously we said no to sometimes bigger tickets that would have meant that we were expected to grow in, let's say, big European markets from day one.
Right.
And then I would say, I mean, the last investment we took last year, I think it was a great investor, and I think we very much welcome them as a contributor to the business, but it wasn't necessarily because that we needed the money. And depending on how things develop, I mean, we might not need to use that money. So
it's nice to have a rainy day fund, I guess.
It's obviously nice to have a rainy day fund, and I think also as a founder, it's nice to know that you can focus on building the business,
right.
Expanding the business, and not have to think about when is your next fundraise, how much runway do you have, because that takes a lot of time and effort as well.
Right. Which entrepreneurs do you get inspired by, and why?
Well, I get inspired by a lot of entrepreneurs, including yourself, and I think I've been extremely interested in journeys of other people. For me, it hasn't been a specific entrepreneur that's been number one, but it's been a lot of important learnings and inspiration from many different entrepreneurs, and obviously some of that is relevant for you, and I think it is to a certain limit, because your journey will never be exactly the same as someone else's journey.
Right.
But I also think it's also easy here in Sweden. I think there are several good fintech entrepreneurs, and Sebastian at Klarna, and we have Tink and iSettle, which I think have done amazing journeys in their ways, and I think that's very inspiring.
So how do you value revenue today versus building a company for the future?
Great question. And I think both are obviously very important as a business, because if you don't have any revenues, I mean, eventually, you will run out of cash, and it's extremely important to have revenues. And I think we are at the same time in our business, we're spending most of our development for things that we will see results from in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years in the future. So a lot of what we're building, that's not generating revenue today. But at the same time, I think it's extremely important that we have a product that's used by thousands of customers, and that feedback and interaction and growing those revenues are extremely important as well, because we're having that, direct customer feedback. We're always developing the product. We're always thinking about, the business model for our customers. But at the same time, from building a business, it's extremely important that we're already looking several years ahead in what is the company that we're building, and we know when we're working with the platform business that's a long-term game, because it takes sales time might take up to a year, implementation time it takes a while, and then actually scaling up. So that's a multi-year process, and we need to invest today for business in the future.
So I get the idea. I listened to a great interview with the NVIDIA founder talking about like the importance of positioning, about doing things 10 years ago that created a very strong position today. And I see some similarities in where you are now and where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing journey, and obviously they thought about that extremely early. I think in our case, what we were aiming for is that we could see that this space of embedded finance, that we obviously positioned ourselves for many years ago and invested a lot in, that is becoming extremely interesting today. I think we definitely took a bet several years ago to go in that route,
right?
And I think that is something, a dynamic in the market, where we're seeing that now there is a strong interest for ERP systems, for banks, for fleet and fuel companies to improve their solution in this space. And we are, in the Nordic and European market, I mean, we are the ones that are positioned in that space to provide that.
Baltsar, thank you very much for joining us today.
Daniel, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.